Good afternoon, and welcome to the Orion Veterans Memorial on this wonderful, beautiful Memorial Day. Before we begin, just a few announcements, please. Our volunteers have been busy preparing the memorial for this beautiful day. Volunteers including Bob Watros, our park manager, who spends about 5 days a week up here. Followed by Mike Sweeney, Tom Fluent. Hold your applause till the end, please. Mike Sweeney, Tom Fluent, Rick Goodwell, Harley Joe Bertram, Tony Watros, Steve Leach, and members of the VFW Post 334 of Orion and Oxford, led by Post Commander Jim Hubbard and other volunteers. Let's give them a big hand. And once again, our volunteers are not paid, not because they are worthless, but because they are priceless. This whole memorial has been put together with volunteers of a few communities. In case you have not noticed, the latest addition to our wonderful memorial is this pavilion. It was constructed and still being constructed by the Jerry Suzor family and his crew of carport structures of Orion and of Oxford, and Lake Orion Home Depot donated much of the materials, with manager Alana leading the way for our memorial. Are Jerry Suzor and Alana here? Are Jerry Suzor and Alana of Home Depot here? If you are, raise your hand. No? All right. Operation Guardian Angel is a way we here at the Orion Veterans Memorial demonstrate our love and care for our military, not only those of our community, but also our nation. We keep them and their families in our prayers during and after their tours of duty. You can see a picture poster board near the flagpole of some of them. If any of you would give us a small picture of some military person you would like to have on it, please give it to us or mail it to us, and we'll display it and keep them and their families in our prayers. Starbucks Coffee across the street has donated coffee once again, as they do with every ceremony we have. Please make a purchase there and thank them for their generosity and patriotism. Donation forms for engraved bricks can still be picked up here at our tables or downloaded from our website, which is orionveteransmemorial.com. Please consider making a donation or buying a cap or one of the items at the tent afterwards. All the monies go towards the ongoing expenses of the memorial. Sergeant Waggett, post the colors.
Reset. Huh. On it. Huh.
We'll now make our Pledge of Allegiance with Nathan Whiting leading us. Nathan, would you step up to the microphone?
Reset. Huh.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Huh. On left. Peace. On. Hard. Yawn up. Yawn up. Yawn up. Yawn up. Yawn up. Yawn up. Yawn up.
I would now like to introduce Gabriel Phillips of Oakview Middle School to introduce us to the national anthem, and please join in with Gabriel. Gabriel?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red alarm, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, shade us that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Gabriel. Wasn't that wonderful?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please be seated. My name is Captain Mastro Mateo, and as a U.S. Army veteran, I am especially proud to be standing here with other veterans from the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard, Merchant Marines, the North Oakland County Young Marines, Michigan Minuteman Platoon, and our first responders. Anybody here from the Army? Let's hear a cheer. Army, all right. Navy, let's have a cheer. Okay. Air Force, all right. Marines, did I hear any hoorahs? Coast Guard. All right, we got a few Coast Guard. Merchant Marine. All right, we got one or two. That's good. North Oakland Young Marines. Where are you? The Michigan Minuteman Platoon. First responders. They're here too. All right. I salute all of you. To our honored military dead who made the supreme sacrifice to those military who served our country and who are now serving, our municipal officials, the Orion Veterans Memorial Board of Directors, our invaluable volunteers, families and friends and communities around, and fellow American patriots. Lest we forget, I repeat, lest we forget. Those are the famous words of the American Legion that challenges all of us here today to remember our brave military who fought and died for us since 1776. We gather here today on the most important and legal holidays, Memorial Day. Memorial Day is the day for Americans to observe with reverence and devotion to our military men and women who sacrificed their lives in all wars for our freedoms and liberties. Memorial Day is the time for Americans to reconnect with our history and core values by showing our debt of honor and gratitude to those who gave their lives. Let us embrace the ideals, principles, and examples set by our founding fathers, which we so dearly cherish. Each soldier who died for our country was a loved one cherished by his or her family and friends. Each was a loss to their family, community, and our nation. We must never forget or take for granted that we live in a land of freedoms, liberties, and inalienable rights under God, purchased at a very high price, that of our country's men and women's lives. This day we come to honor those who sacrificed their lives so we may live in freedom and peace and security. They believed in the words of the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and these were things that they knew were worth fighting for. The Memorial Day has been ignored by too many of us who benefit from those who have made the supreme sacrifice. Often we do not observe the day as it should be, a day where we actively remember our ancestors, our family members, our loved ones, our neighbors, and our friends who have given their all. However, let us be clear about what Memorial Day is all about. Memorial Day is an annual holiday to honor all armed service men and women who died in the defense of our country. In the year 2000, Congress passed a public law called the National Moment of Remembrance at 3 o'clock. On Memorial Day, taps would be played and a moment of silence. The goal is for every American to hear an announcement on Memorial Day at 3 p.m. calling for a moment of silence, 1 minute out of the whole year to remember those who made the greatest possible sacrifice. Jesus Christ said, "No greater love has no man than to lay down his life for his friend." I encourage all of us to join in the effort to spread the word about the Memorial Day moment of silence. Make it a point. Set your alarms, set your iPhones, set your cell phones for less than 2 hours from now to remind ourselves of the most important moment of silence and pass this important message to others. Your presence here today is a living example of what we as American people should be doing on this Memorial Day. I feel sure our founding fathers would praise us for this. You made time in your schedules to remember the debt we owe our brave military men and women. Today we mourn and try to remember all we can of those who lived in our land under God, of the people, by the people, and for the people. Thank you for your patriotism and caring for our military. May God bless us with world peace, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Sergeant Parkhurst will lead us with an invocation. Sergeant Parkhurst.
Many of you know me. I'm a past commander at the Oxford American Legion Post, and my invocation is going to be a little bit different. Doc said let's do something different today. I want all of you to take a good look at those bricks. Look down. Take the time to look at the names on the bricks that's in front of you. Those are all veterans that served this country. Many of them are still serving, and many of them are gone. I have 6 family members whose names are on those bricks. I lost a friend who stands out there. There's a gentleman out there, wave at me, he's got the Civil War uniform on. A friend of mine, Ray Blissett, wore that blue and gray uniform and stood there for many years. We lost him about a month ago. Ray served not only in the service, but served in that blue and gray uniform across the United States, marched in various parades, and was honored to wear that old uniform, taught kids, made sure everything was correct. Many of you up here have got stories of your own that are untold. I get many students and kids through the schools. Many of you VFW guys and Legion guys have been with me up there at the Legion. We've had over 210 kids come through that museum in the last 2 weeks. And some of us are going to be honored again. We'll be at the Oxford schools this coming Thursday. But where's Joe?
Right here.
Joe's back there. This is Joe up here. Zick, stand up. Joe served on the USS Lexington. Joe's got many stories he's told kids. You know, he can tell you about the screaming of those airplanes back in World War II. With the engines revving and leaving the end of an aircraft carrier and trying to make it with all the bombs. Some of those things touch me personally with the stories the guys have told. The gentleman here in the front row, I served in Korea in '67. I did nothing compared to what he did back during the Korean War. Those guys, they were called the frozen chosen. Many of them died not from wounds, but being froze to death of starvation, trying to serve a country and save their freedoms over there. And we have servicemen who are still fighting there today to save those rights and protect them with what's going on with North Korea today, and hope it never comes to that struggle again. We hope that we've all done our part. Jim Hubbard, who's not here with us today, his wife is in the hospital. Jim lost an arm due to combat. Several other veterans have lost, have wearing prosthesis like the gentleman in front of me. But you know, it was all worth it. That flag's still flying. And we're going to protect it, no matter what it takes. Let us pray at this time. Father, we ask that you be with us always. We know that in these troubled times, when the world is in great turmoil, the things we ask of you may seem insignificant. But I want you, Father, at this time to help our young troops overseas to get up every morning, pull up those bootlaces, and protect the rights of all of us and freedoms. But we do pray to you and ask for a better world for all of us. We wish to keep the fires of freedom burning brightly in the skies over this great land of ours, and we pray that we will always keep you in our hearts. May God bless may God bless and keep every one of you. And let's pray for our troops and bring the POWs home. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant Parkhurst. Now I'd like to introduce John Ranville, the Post Commander of American Legion Post 233. John.
Thank you for coming today for the Memorial Day ceremonies. I'm just recently elected as the post commander in Lake Orion. I'm very honored to have been asked to give the address today in memory of all the past and present soldiers and family members that have been affected by all the wars and will be affected for the rest of their lives for what they have sacrificed to keep this country and many other countries free. We honor all veterans that have died in combat and veterans still living who still suffering from wounds such as Agent Orange that is still killing veterans as we speak daily. I worked next to the Lake Orion Post for many years at Party Store, and I'll admit now that for years I judged veterans, and I was a veteran, seeing them come in and out of the post, and there's always been that stigma around that a lot of veterans are, all they do is go in there and drink. Well, it wasn't until I recently got involved this last couple of years, and now I know why these men go through those doors, for the fellowship of other men that have, they're a brotherhood. We have a brotherhood there, and a lot of these men are home alone. They've lost their wives. They're sitting in their dark, and they're eating a TV dinner, and they come down there. Not everybody drinks. There's a couple guys come in every day that play cards. It's until you live it and go to that post, whether it's Orion, Oxford, or any post, don't judge your fellow veteran. They've had many problems, suffered dearly. They need that post to get together to heal their wounds. Lake Orion Post takes very much pride in the care of our veterans and family members and the disabled veterans in our area, and keep them in your prayers daily. Lake Orion Post sponsors a lot of youth groups and organizations throughout the year, like Boys and Girls Clubs, Little Leagues, Cub Scouts, 12 Families at Christmas. Our auxiliary and our sons do a great job for our community, and if it wasn't for them, we need them as veterans. We need their help. Some of the things we do on Memorial Day, we honor our veterans in 3 of our local cemeteries: Evergreen Cemetery, East Lawn, and Square Lake, by placing flags on each one of the soldiers' graves. We put out approximately 600 flags on those graves, which we did Sunday. On Memorial Day morning, we have a ceremony at East Lawn Cemetery to honor the memory of those that gave their lives in sacrifice of our country. That's what before God and these men and women pledged to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, both foreign and domestic, and by that they sacrificed their life for their country. It's followed by a second ceremony at Children's Park, where we put a wreath in the stream, and that is to honor the soldiers that were lost at sea, men and women. After that, we have a parade downtown at 11 o'clock. It was a very exceptional parade this morning. And next thing we do is we attend this Orion War Memorial, Veterans War Memorial. And I would like to talk just for a second about what a hero is. A hero is someone who serves others at whatever the cost. There are 2 very close family members that to me were heroes in my family. One was my grandfather that passed away when my father was a teenager. There was a warehouse fire in Cadillac. He went in, saved many lives, pulling them out, going back in to save more lives. And they found him about 20 feet from the front door. He didn't make it. He sacrificed his life for his community and his friends, many friends that he knew that was in that warehouse. The other was my father. He served in World War II, landed at Normandy, worked his way up through, through France, Belgium, Holland, Luxembourg, Austria. And just before the biggest battle of the war, he was wounded in Germany. Wounded in Germany just before the Battle of the Bulge. He never talked about the war to us kids, never mentioned a thing. My mom never talked to us. And the stress and the strain and the post-traumatic stress that he went through all those years, it had to be terrible. And I know a lot of you are going through that too. That's why a private club like the American Legion is so important to all of us, that it releases your stress, and you don't talk about the war, but you're just there with your buddy, your friends, your new friends, friends that you'll be with the rest of your life. He never got any treatment, and I'm sure most of the military now get very little treatment, not what they need, what they deserve. I just want to stress that. And my dad's civilian life, he was awarded the American Red Cross Award for saving a woman's life up on 24. Her car ran off the road and went under the ice, and he was coming home from work, and he stopped, jumped out, went under the water, under the ice, and saved her life. This was back in the late 50s, early 60s. He was a hero, but nobody knew it. Never talked about it. My own kids, grandkids, they don't know about it. Maybe they do now. He spent several days at home. He was totally paralyzed from the freezing waters. So, to me, he was my true hero. He died a young man, 56 years old, a young man in an old man's body. So as I close today, I just want you to take the time to honor the dead veterans and their families. Don't forget who is fighting as we speak to keep our country free, and keep them in your prayers.
Thank you, Post Commander Ranville. There are many heroes, and there's many right here today. Chief of Police Jerry Nars is going to introduce another hero. Jerry, would you step forward, please?
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, John. Every year, before we lead the parade, we work with the American Legion Post 333, and we're here today to honor all of our veterans, but we ask the Legion to select one. And we ask that we all recognize that one veteran from here in our area is our representative of the American Legion Memorial Parade, and that gentleman is with me today. So ladies and gentlemen, please join us as we recognize our 2013 Lake Orion Honored Veteran, Corporal Ernie Newman of the United States Marines. And I gotta tell you, I get the best job because I get to drive that old car with our honored veteran every year in the parade, and I get to know the story from the inside of that car. By the time that parade's done, I can barely contain it, and you'll know that story in just a second. Corporal Ernie Newman was born and raised in Lake Orion and moved to Indiana at the time he entered service with the United States Marine Corps. Corporal Newman served in combat during the Vietnam War from July 1969 to August of 1970. During his tour, Corporal Newman earned numerous medals and awards, including the National Defense Medal, the Vietnam Campaign Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal, the Combat Action Medal, the Republic of Vietnam Cross of Gallantry with Palm, the Purple Heart, and the Navy Commendation of Marine Gallantry with Device. Upon his return home, Corporal Ernie Newman became the youngest American serviceman to be a post commander of an American Legion anywhere in the United States by age 20. We are honored, and I am honored, to represent and present to you Corporal Ernie Newman and thank him for his brave and dedicated service to his country, to Harrison Lake Orion. Thank you, Corporal Ernie Newman, United States Marines.
Thank you, Chief, and congratulations, Ernie. Next we have the Church Street Singers, and we want to make this interactive. All of us sing God Bless the USA with Ray Heisey, and the Church Street Singers, directors Kathy and Mike Whelan. Kathy?
You know, this is a very important day for me too. I had twin brothers that were 7 years older than I. One went to the Pacific Theater, the other one went to the European Theater. Unfortunately, the brother that went to the European Theater only lasted 14 days over there, and he was killed in action. So it really is a very important day for me. Thank you. As Joe said, I want you all join in, and when the I think let's just join in, Jesse. If tomorrow all the things were gone that I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I'd thank my lucky stars that I'm living here today, 'cause that flag still stands for freedom, and you can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, for at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died to breathe that right to me. I will stand up next to you and Denverville today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, and from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, from New York to LA, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time to stand and say, I'm proud to be an American, for at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died who gave that right to me. And I'm glad they stand up next to you in Denverville today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. One more time. Proud to be an American, for at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died who gave that right to me. And let me stand up next to you in Denverville today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
Thank you, Ray, and all. That was great. The Church Street Singers, led by Kathy and Mike Whelan, have been part of our ceremonies for going on to 10 or 15, 20 years. Let's give the Church Street Singers a hand. At this point, Madam President Jacqueline Bogner and husband Mike Bogner, who is the leading candidate for Sons of the American Legion at the state level, for the Legion Detachment of Michigan, I believe. Mike, is that correct?
Yeah.
I got it right this time. Good. Jacqueline, would you please place the wreath in front of the military branches of service wall in their honor? Madam President.
Jacqueline. Over here.
Yes, please stand. Thank you, Jacqueline. And also, after the ceremony, you might want to notice that the wreath is placed around the POW MIA table. And please go over and read what it represents. The prisoner of war and missing in action, as well as in between the Purple Heart Monument and the Medal of Honor Monument, all together with the military branches of service. Thank you. Please be seated. Ernie Baker and Randy Stetson. Mike Sweeney, would you please step forward? Ernie Baker will now read the 40 Orion military personnel who made the supreme sacrifice. Ernie? Ernie is a World War II veteran.
Thank you, Joe, and good afternoon, everybody. General Douglas MacArthur once famously said, "Old soldiers never die, they just fade away." Well, there's probably a lot of truth to that, but we're here today to remember the veterans in this area that have died this past year since last Memorial Day. So I'm going to now read the names. William Adams, Richard Carpenter, Durrance Galloway, Glenn Hott, Kenneth Levins, Merlin Lewis, Edward Olander, Richard Spencer, Dennis Sundberg, Myron Thayer, James Walker, George Walker, Ken Marsh, Gary Jenkins, Gary Klaus, Jerry Lampy, Ron Seglin, Hank Downs, Nicholas Rizzo, Earl Bliss, Winslow Shigena, and Richard Grimaldi. Those are the men in this area that have passed away this past year that were veterans. Next, we're going to read the names of the veterans, or the people that have passed away, and Jim Hubbard and Randy Stetson, we're going to do it together, but Jim Hubbard's wife Kathy is in the hospital, he can't be here, so Randy's going to read all the names. It's my honor really to introduce Randy, and I want to tell you a little bit about this man. He has the Silver Star, which he won for valor, and he also has a Purple Heart for his wounds. He has a great number of medals. But I want to read what he did to earn the Silver Star, which is the second highest award that can be presented. PSC Randy Stetson served with the Aero Rifle Platoon of the Air Cavalry Troop 11th Armored Cavalry, known as the Black Horse Regiment in the Republic of Vietnam. On March 9, 1969, while entering a heavily fortified base camp, his flank squad came under intense hostile fire and his squad was pinned down. Randy radioed for heavy tank support and the 1st Infantry responded within 20 minutes. This, though, is an account of what happened during those 20 minutes. 3 men were seriously wounded and had no hope of being saved. Randy Stetson went through enemy fire 3 times to rescue his comrades and moved them to safety in a bomb crater where they could be given first aid. He then assaulted one of the enemy bunkers and destroyed it. After that, he helped load the first casualty onto a Loach helicopter. While doing this, the enemy opened fire and Randy Stetson was critically wounded. He was able to free the casualty before the helicopter exploded, but others were either badly injured or lost their lives. He knew he was severely injured and his squad sergeant had sustained temporary flash blindness. Randy told the sergeant to take control of his weapon and he would be his eyes. Just as the sergeant was aiming in the direction where he thought the enemy was located, the tank unit arrived and took control of the situation. All of the wounded were then taken to a landing zone which had been cleared by the tank unit. A medevac helicopter evacuated the wounded to a field hospital. Randy lost a lot of blood as well as hope until he saw the Red Cross on the landing strip. He received the medical help he needed and he survived, as well as the 3 men he rescued. By direction of the President, under the provision of the Act of Congress approved July 9, 1918, PFC Randy Stetson was awarded the Silver Star. It's my honor to introduce Randy.
Now, it is my honor to give the names of the Civil War. Please forgive me if I mispronounce the names. I mean no disrespect. From the Civil War is Thomas M. Bowers, Daniel Burton, Roswell Campbell, William A. Churchill, Henry C. Fairchild, Hiram Hemingway, Webster Marsh, Carly Roger, Eugene L. Rose, Charles Sumter, Frank Drumley, World War I, Otis C. Brewster, Newell Thomas Carleton, Vern E. Poland, World War II, Laverne H. Becker, J.V. Burns, Chester C. Campbell, Lee F. Carpenter, Clayton Albert Decker, Robert Leland Decker, Irwin R. Dewey, Roger H. Philcorn, Bernard A. Kolak, Irwin A. Krause, Marvin F. Lamphere, Julian E. Moore, Charles J. Petty, Everett Pickering, Anthony F. Sommer, Donald R. Sova, Alan B. Swim, Walter F. Walter. From the Korean War, James Crossman, Charles Daly, Ernest C. Feeblecorn, Harry Pacer, Edward Wilson Garlick. The Vietnam War, Raymond L. Whipley, John A. Wood. Operation Iraqi Freedom, Raymond J. Pollard. That'll be it. God bless you all.
Thank you, Randy, Ernie, and Mike. We will now have one moment of silence in honor of all of our military who have lost their lives in wars. Moment of silence, please. Kathy McMinn will now lead us in America the Beautiful. The words are in your program. Please join in. Kathy?
Before we sing this beautiful song, I've had the honor and pleasure to escort second graders around our community, because that's what they learn about in second grade. They learn about their roots and where they grow up and where they continue to grow, we hope. And we came here and spent about an hour, 75 7-year-olds, and you might think, oh wow, it took a lot to contain that, but as they toured around and looked at all of the monuments, we seemed to gather around the Coming Home Monument. And these 7-year-olds talked about the family and looked at the faces. And one little boy said, you know, he could be coming home, but maybe he's going. So please remember that. Bring the children, bring your children to see this beautiful monument and tell them about their roots and about the great country we live in. And stand now, if you're able, to sing and honor the best country in the world, America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. Oh, beautiful for patriots' dream that sees beyond their years. Thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. God bless our great country. God bless you.
She's quite a singer also, isn't she?
Oh, no.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Please be seated. We'll have a closing address by our supervisor of Orion Township, Chris Barnett. Chris?
Well, we are so amazingly blessed. We live in the greatest nation on the planet Earth. Do you agree with me? As we gather today to celebrate those who have come before us to give us these privileges that we have, we pay tribute to those who have given their lives, the ultimate sacrifice for us to celebrate here today. From 1971 onwards, Memorial Day holiday was officially slated for the last Monday in May and became the official start to summer. Barbecues, blockbuster movie openings, mattress sales, but that's not why we gather here today. As I sat through the ceremony, I looked out and saw hurt and tears, and some of those tears were probably of joy, but there's a lot of sadness here today as we remember those who really did pay the ultimate sacrifice. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to say briefly here in closing, what I thought what this day means to me. I've not served this country like many of you have, but to me this day is a day of gratitude. I'd like to call this Gratitude Day. I looked up the word gratitude in the dictionary, and gratitude means a state of being grateful, appreciative of benefits received. Well, what benefits have I received? What benefits have you received from those around us who have served this great country? Well, freedom. Freedom to me is the greatest benefit that we have received. And I'd like for you to stay with me 10 words that many of you have said probably thousands of times in your life, but they're simply defined in our Pledge of Allegiance. What benefits we have received from those of you who have fought for our freedom. One nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Say those words with me and think about what they mean. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to tell you briefly a quick story for me that was probably one of the most impactful moments of my life. I was traveling for business a little over a year ago, and I happened to be connecting through Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta. And as some of you may know, that's a major point of entry back into our country from those serving overseas. And I happened to be there waiting for my flight to transfer and all kinds of busyness, probably on my phone, stressed out about what I thought were the important things in life. And all of a sudden I heard a round of applause starting to grow and grow and grow. And I looked up and noticed a group of military men and women departing a plane and walking through the airport. And it was amazing. There wasn't a dry eye in the airport as everyone in our quote-unquote busyness of life, thinking what we're doing is so important, just took a minute to be grateful for what these men and women had done for our country. And there was not one person doing anything except just taking a minute out of their so-called busy lives to thank these fine young men and women for serving our country. And it's a moment I will never forget. And since that day, and I would challenge you all to do the same, if you see someone that serves our country, take 1 second out of your life and thank them. I had a minute to sit next to a man briefly in that airport who was in his fatigues. And I asked him, what it was like coming back. And he told me, and I never even got this gentleman's name. He told me he was most excited to meet for his first time the daughter that had been born while he was serving in Afghanistan. And I just thought for a minute how selfish I become and how selfish we all become thinking what we're doing is so important when these people around us have given up so much of their lives to serve us. So I would just ask you to consider that. I mean, ceremonies are important, but we should thank these people more than just one day a year at a ceremony like this. We honor our dead best by treating the living well. So how can we show gratitude for those around us who have served our country? I'd just like to take a minute, and I know many of you have been recognized already, but I want to recognize you once again, and please join me. For those of you who have served this country, please stand, or if you're already standing, raise your hand so that we can recognize you, and that includes our first responders. Thank you. And lastly, before I close with the poem, those of you who have lost a loved one who's paid the ultimate price serving our nation, would you please stand or raise your hand so you can be recognized? Thank you. I'm going to close with a poem that I found written by Emma Rossiter. I don't know who this woman is, but I think she captures it well. In 1968, General Logan designated the 30th of May to honor the dead of the Civil War and call it Decoration Day. Now we honor the deceased veterans on the same day every May who have served Uncle Sam in any war. We call it Memorial Day. We scatter flowers on the water for those who have died at sea. Only God knows their resting place. We won't know until eternity. For those whom have been buried, we place a flag and a marker too, to show where a hero is resting who fought for me and you. Honor these dead by helping the living, the needy and those in pain. Carry on as if to show them that they have not died in vain. Those vets confined to beds of white, some are really forgotten men. Send them a card or letter and visit them now and then. For all our men still in service, we offer a little prayer. Please God, keep them safe, our fighting men over there. If the enemy could ever know your love, they wouldn't turn against our men. Dear God, please teach them what is right so it will never happen again. As the sound of the drums and the bugle silently fade away, thank God that you have lived to take part in this beautiful Memorial Day. Thank you everyone for being here today, and please don't let this ceremony of gratitude finish when we leave this place today. Thank you.
Very good, Chris. Thank you. We will now have a gun salute by the Michigan Minuteman Platoon led by Dr. Howard White. Dr. White, those of you, please cover your ears. It will be quite a noise.